Hello and welcome back. So today we are going to start integration, and if you can see here we have our Postman opened, and this one we are going to create few expenses in our database. And also here you can be able to see that I have opened our databases in MongoDB website. So what we are going to do, first of all, remember we are pushing our code to our GitHub. So what we are going to do here is first of all do that, because remember we are doing that in every video that we create. So here I'm going to first of all look at what we have in terms of branches. So git branch, like that, can do that, and you can see here we are in a front end, and then we can be able to push, because in our last video is where we finish creating our front end. So I'll do git add, and then I'm going to commit to git and then commit. Yeah, so this one I'll just say finished front end creation, like that. And then now we can be able to push, and remember right now we are pushing front end branch. So this is a git push origin front end, like that. So git push front end, let me put my passphrase. So my passphrase here, and then I'll be able to push my code. So if I push that, I'll be able to also make sure that I pull request. So I'm going to go to my GitHub. So this is my GitHub, and also I'm going to go to my repo, the repo that I'm pushing this code for expense. And here, right here, you can be able to see my repos. So let me open my repos, and then this is the repo that I'm pushing the code for. So let us go into this repo, and here you need to see this notification, and we need to compare and pull request. So I'm going to compare and pull request. Yeah, I'm going to create pull request here, and you can see now we are merging. We need to, first of all, GitHub need to check for compatibility, and then here I can do merge pull request and then confirm merge, as simple as that. So it is merging, so that is it. So now the other thing that I'm going to do is to make sure now I create another branch. So let me clear first of all, and then here I'll do git branch, and then this branch I'm going to call it integration here. So if I do that, and then I can do git checkout and then integration. So I think this is integration. So I want to get into this integration branch, so to switch to this integration branch. And if I do git branch right now, you can see here we have this git branch that I have switched to, that is called integration. So what I'm going to do is that, let me come back here to my this application. So in this Postman also, I want to just make sure that I add several expenses. So I'm going to create an expense that is called, maybe let's add this one to be having a value of $50. And this one I'm going to say it is an internet bill. So I'm going to send that request. Also, I'm going to create another one here. Let me say like something like $50, or maybe let me add like $20. This one will be, let's say, snacks. Let me call it snacks here. Snacks. And here I can change the date. Let's say the date was 18, and then this was in May here. And also I can be able to send this like that. The other thing is also I can change another bill. So let's create only 3. So here I can add, this one is $100, and then I can say here for subscription services, like that. And then also here I'll be able, or maybe I can just add subscription, and then the date here we can add the date to be maybe something like 22 May 2024. So I'm going to push this like that. And then if I now come back here into my database and then reload this, I'll be able to see all those 3 expenses that I have created. So like that, so let it reload. And now after reloading, you'll be able to see that it have saved those expenses in the database. So you can see we have the internet bill, we have the snacks bill, snacks expense, and also we have subscription. So these are just dummy expenses. You can create expenses that you want. And now let's get into this part of the front end here. First thing, because we are going now to fetch the data from our database, and not our from the database using our using my backend. So here I want to first of all make sure that my background services is running and also my backend is running. Let me check here. So I'm going to push this a little bit, and here I want to make sure that this one is working. My backend is running. You can see it is running. Also my background services and my front end is running. So I'm going to push this down, and then I'm going to get into this part for the front end. And the other thing that I want to do is to make sure that I'm going to install Axios, because Axios will help us to make a request to our backend and then fetch our data and display it into this part that we are calling the front end. And this one will be using, we are going also to make sure that we can delete and also edit the data. So let's do that. So I'm going to install Axios. So I'm going to add here another terminal. So let's open another terminal here, and I'm going to install a package by the name Axios like that. And then also we can be able to create another file inside this here, inside this part that we are calling the src, or the source. Here we are going to create a file that I'm going to call request methods.js, like that. And this is where we are going to make sure that we create an instance that will help us to fetch our data. So let's do that. So first of all, first thing that I'm going to do is to make sure here I'm going to import Axios. So Axios, or Axios, the way you want to pronounce it, from Axios. So Axios, I think this is we have installed it. So here, yes, I think unknown, command unknown. Oh, this is because I used npm Axios, and I need to make sure that I use npm install Axios. So Axios, like that. Let's see. So this is a very small package, so it won't take time to install, as you can see right now. So the other thing that I'm going to do is to make sure that I use it. So I'm going to create a base URL, so base underscore URL, like that. And then here I can be able to make sure that I can add the URL of my backend. So here, this one, then http, and then it is localhost because it is running on my computer. So this one is localhost. And then here we have like the port. Yep, my port is 5000, like that, because here you can be able to see that it is this one here. So, and then it is 5000. So also I'm going to go back into my code here, and then yeah, this one will be, I think it is okay. Maybe let me check here. So this one will be API and then version 1, I think, or even I don't think I need to add all of that. I think I should add expense, or just leave it like that, because if I come here in my backend, I don't see if I have a API slash version 1. And let me see. So yeah, this one is just expenses, so I'm going to leave it at that point. So I'm going into back to my this file here, so like that. And also here I can be able now to export and then create a function. So this one is, I'm going to call it public request here, and then here I'm going to be able to do Axios and create instance. So create, you can be able to see this function, and this function will have an object. So let me create an object inside here, and then we have base URL, you can see it here, and this one I'm going to give it my base URL here, like that, as simple as that. So you can see how easy it is. So this is not a semicolon. So I'm going to format my code. I think that's okay. And also I'm going to remove these extra spaces. I think I have a lot of spaces, but it's okay. Let me have those spaces. I don't think it's that bad. So let me close this and then get back to my this part that we are calling app.jsx. So here I want to create some other variables, and these variables are for collecting the data from my inputs. So the first one here, let me create it, or even I can be able to just let me create here. So this one is use state also, use state like that, use state, and then this one will be an empty text to start with. So I'm going to copy this like that. I'm going to paste it here and then several times. So here this one will be use state, and then this one I'm going to call this one the label. So the label, and also here we can say send label, and the label is the name of the expense. So here also I'm going to have another which is amount, and amount here we are going to also set amount here like that. And this one for amount here, actually it will be set to 0 initially. And also we have another one here which is for the date. So date, and then here we can be able to say set date like that, and then that's okay. So I'm going to also paste for other, for example, for now updating. So we are going to have, first of all, we have updated ID. I'll show you where we need to use it. So updated ID. So this is updated ID, and then set updated or updated ID like that. Also we need to have for the updated label. So here this one is updated label. I'm going to show you why I'm using this variable. So this one will be for correcting set updated label, and then also I can have the other one for the, let me see here, I can have for the updated value. So updated value like that. Here we can have like the updated, we are going to have updated, let me just change here to updated amount. So updated amount, and then this one will be set updated amount like that. So and then set updated amount, and then the other one is for the date. So here we have, let me push this, let me add this. So here I'm going to have updated date, and then we can have set updated date like that. So that's all. So now I'm going to use this to collect the data. So first of all, let me come here down and use them in this part here that we have this pop-up for updating or for collecting the data for expense. So first thing first, I have to come here to input the first input here. Let me just add here like the event on change that will help us to get the data from our this input. So here I'm going to add e, and then here I'm going to do now set. Here you can be able to set, we can be able to set here the label, and then here we can say dot target and then dot value. That's how you get the data from the input. So I'm going also to copy this and then use it here on for the date. So I'm going to paste here. So this one is for the date. I'm going to change this to set date. So we have this set date like that. Also for the amount here, we need to change this. So we need to add this for the amount. So this is set amount. Let me set amount here. And then now the other thing is we have the set amount, and then now we can just also use the other ones here at the pop-up for making sure that we update that expense. So let me just scroll down here, and in here we have the label. So this one is for updating my label. So here you can see here this is set label, but now we are going to correct for the update. So for the updated label, so you can see here updated, set the updated label. Also for input here for the amount, that is. So or this one is for the date, I think so. So let me change here for this one will be for the updated date. You can see here like that, and then we have this for the amount here. So this one also I need to change this, and this one I'm going to add here updated amount. You can be able to see here we have updated amount like that. So now we have the other one for this part that we are calling we have this one here. Now we need also to use these ones here for these are label, amount, and everything. So what we are going to do is first of all to make sure that we can add the expenses to our database. So let's do that. So to do that, I'm going to make sure that I have another function here, and this function I'm going to call it handle expense. So let me create here handle expense like that. Here this is our function. So this is a function here. I'm going to add this one here, and also right here now I can be able to make sure that I send the data to my database. So here this is async, and I'm going to do try catch because it can fail, remember. So this one is try catch, and right here I can be able to await, and then this one I'm going to call my method now, the public request method, but I think I have not imported it, or I cannot be able to import it like without a completion. So here I'm going to import public request. So I'm going to import public request. Let me see if I can also import it. Like let me just first of all import it from dot method request. You can see method request here, and I think now I need to import it like this. You can be able to see it public request like that, and now here I can be able to do await and then public request here, and then dot request dot post, that is, sorry. So you can see the method post, and then here I can be able to just have the route that I want to make sure that I put it, or where I want to post my expenses data. So after now the route, we need to now give the data. So the first thing is the label or the name. Also we need to have the date, and also we need to have, and because these are just the name that we have in our database, and then the data that we are collecting up here, we don't need to do like here we could do like an object label and then we add label here. We can just give it like a label like that, and then the other one here, because the name of the amount in our database is value, then here we need to add the value, and then for us here is amount, because we are collecting using a variable that is called amount. So that is it. The other thing that I want to make sure is also here to console log the data, if the error, that is, sorry. So we have the error. If we have the error, we need to console log it, and then now we can be able to use this function. And where should we need to make sure that we use this function is in the button here. We have this button. So this one is right here. Let me see it. So here for add expense, here we need to have another event that is called on click. So you can see the on click here, and then here is where I can have handle expense or handle expense, like that. And then I'm going to come up here also, and to make sure that when I make sure that I add the expense in my database, if it is successful, then I need to reload that page to see that new expense. So here I'm going to add window. So we have this window, and then this is natively in JavaScript, and then location, and then dot reload. So like that. So that's how you reload the page. So that is it. Let me save that, and we can just make sure that we try that. So I'm going to come here into this app. I have to reload. You can see it is reloading here, and after that we'll be able to add the data to our database using now our application here. So I'm going here to add expense. So here I can be able to add, maybe this time is not, maybe this is maybe gasoline, and then maybe this here I can add the date is today. Let me choose this, and then I can add like $100, and then I'm going to click this add expense. So let's see what will happen. So if I click this, you can be able to see that it has reloaded. And I think when also you come here and then reload, you'll be able to see expenses with before expenses. So let's see. And here let's see if it will have been added. So here let's see. Yeah, you can see there are 4, and let us see which one we have added. For the one for the gasoline, so here we have this one, gasoline, $100. So let's get into our application again, and now this time I want to fetch this data and also make sure that I have displayed it here. So let's do that. Or to make sure that I fetch my data, I'm going to use another hook, and this hook is called use effect. So use effect here, I'm going to import it. First of all, let me make sure that it has been imported. So here you have seen this use effect here. So the use effect, you can be able to use it to fetch the data. And this is actually a function, and this function has 2 things. First thing, it has this function, and first argument is a function, and then we have another argument that is just an array here, and this is where you put it dependencies. So let me just come inside this function here, and inside this function I can do several things. Let me create a function inside here that is called fetch or get expenses, like that. And then here I can be able to get that. Let me add here async, because this will be just asynchronous function. So async, and then here I can be able to now have this function. So it's just the same, creating a function and then you add async here. So this is the one that we are going to use to make sure that we fetch the data from our database. So I'm going to use try catch, like that. Here I'm going also to make sure that I get the response from my data, from my backend. So this is response, and then here I'm going to say await public request. So this is public request, and then this time is get, because we are getting the data from our backend. So this is expenses, the route, and then here, because this is a get or we are fetching the data, we don't need to send any data to our backend. We need only to try and fetch the data. So here I need also to make sure that I have a variable so that will hold the expenses. So I'm going to make sure that I do that. So inside here I can have another variable that I'm going to call it expenses, and then here we have another function to set the expenses. So set the expenses, and here this one is use state like that, and then this one will be an empty array like that. So expenses and set expenses. So let's come back here, and now here we are going to set the expenses, add expenses, and then here this is res.data like that, because the response that we are getting from our, if we fetch the data, then the data will be inside the response.data. That's where you get the data. Here I can console log the error, so you get a meaningful error, but also you can be able to display that error. So that is it. And also I need to call this function inside this use effect here. So to do that, I'm going to make sure that let me just remove this, and here I need to call this function that is called now get expenses like that. And you can see how simple it is. So now we can be able to fetch this data. Let me format like that. Also, we can now come here where we have added our expenses manually. And the other thing that I want actually to make or to make sure that I do is now, because we have that data, and you can see here in this data for the pie chart here, before even I display it in this part that we have here, I need to display it inside this pie chart here. So to do that, because right here you can see the format of my data in this part, or in this data part of pie chart, you can see we need to have a value. That's why I named the amount in the database as value. Also here for the label, you need to, this one should be the name for the our expense, and you can see the format that you need to display inside or in this data for pie chart. So I'm going to remove this because already we have done that, and then here I can include expenses like that, because that is just an array of data that we are going to fetch from our database. So if I do that, and I want to show you why I'm doing this, because this was just an array of data for this here. So I'm going to show you here in our postman. So if I come here to get all expenses, so let us let it load, and then you'll be able to send the request. Here I don't have that. Let me just get this, and then I can send that request, and then we'll be able to get now this data. So you can see this data here is just a data of, this is an array that has data that contains object that holds the data for our expenses, and that's why we match it with the data here. So for pie chart, so if I save this, I should see like expense here. You can see we have now displayed from our database, because you can see this one is internet bill, this is snacks, this is subscription. So you can see already we are displaying it here in our pie chart. So now the other thing that I want to do is to make sure that I display it here, and that is very simple. So let me just scroll down here. So I'm going to first of all make sure that I just delete this dummy expenses here. So for the first one, you can see we have like this one for the internet bill. So I'm going to actually remove it like that, and then let me see if I'm doing the right way, because if I'm not doing the right way, I need to get the data, I need to get the error. So let me remove also this one. So I'm going to remove this, and I want to be left with only one. So we have also this one here, and then now we can format our code first of all like that. So let's see. So if you do that, you can see here you have been left with only one. So that is what we want. And now because we have this one here, we need to also remove it, but this time is not like removing entirely, it's just cutting it. So let me just see where I need to cut it. So let me get it here. You can see right here is where we have matched it there, and then remove it. And then inside here now I can be able to first of all make sure that I get the expenses, and then expenses is just array of data. So I'm going to map through, and this is to loop through the expenses. So I'm going to get expense or the data. I'm actually going to call it item or an expense. Let me call it expense. It makes sense. An expense, and then here also index. And then here when I'm looping, I can have now, I'm going to return now this card or this information like that. So I think this cannot happen because I need to create a root fragment here. So let me see if that is the problem. So if I do that, yeah, you can be able to see now we don't have that problem. So now the other thing that I need to do is to make sure that I use these expenses now. But first of all, I need to make sure that I have a key. So I'm going to come here and to have a key here, and this key will have it, we are going to assign it the index like that. So I think that should work. Yes, like that. And also we have expense here. So we have not used this expense, but I'm going to use it. So let me call it item so that it doesn't conflict with other naming. So I'm going to call now this one. I'm going to get the expense dot label because that is the name. Also we are going to get the other things here that we are going to get is the date. So here this one is the date. So I'm going to get here expense dot date like that, and then the rest here is the amount. So I'm going to add here the expense. This one is not expenses but expense. Actually, have I changed that? I think I have changed. Yeah, it should be item, not expenses. I don't know why I'm doing that. So this is item. Also, this is item here. So this is item, and also here you need to have item dot value like that. So let me see if I will display that data. So if I do this, because here we are looping through and then displaying that data in our front end, let's see if that works. So you can see here, actually it works. So we have that, and now we have to make sure that we can delete. So to delete is a very simple task. So we are going to come here into our this icon file trash, and then here we can be able to do that. So let me do that. So here is on click like that, and then here I'm going to first of all make sure that I get the date. So here I need to make sure that I get the ID. So I'm going to have this function that I'm going to call handle delete delete here, and this here I'm going to get an argument that is called item dot underscore id, because if you check here we need to get the id so that we make sure that we delete using that id. So, and you can see here this is not dot id, it is dot underscore id, because that's how Mongo displays its id. So like that, and then I need to make sure that I create this function. And so I'm going to come here up here, and then I'm going to do that. So this one I'm going to add const handle delete like that, and then here I need to have an id, and then this is an argument, and then like that. So this one here should be an id. Let me see. ID is declared, but its value is never read. So this one also, it should be async, because here I need to delete the data or this expense from the database, and we need to pass this ID so that we can know which expense that we need to delete. So here I'm going to add try catch also, and then this one here I'm going to do await, and then public request, like that, and then dot now delete, because this time is deleting. And then when we delete here, we are going to delete from this part here, or from this route, and here I can use backtick so that I pass in the ID. So this one should be slash expenses. You can see expenses here, and then here we can add the ID using this interpolation. And then if we successfully delete that from our database, we can reload now also to display the data. So location window.location.reload, like that. And then here we can console log here the error, like that. So that is it. So here I'm also going to format my code, like that. I'm going to format my code, and then I can save this. So you can see how you can be able to do the deletion, and you can do delete like this. So let me just try and delete maybe this one here. So I'm going to delete for the gasoline, and when I click that and then reload, you can be able to see we have 3. If you click again, you'll be able to see, okay, for example, let me delete for the internet here. If I click that, you can see now we have been left with 2. The same if you go to database and reload, you'll be able to see that you have been left with 2. So now let's look at how we can also be able to update now how we need to update this part, where we have this pop-up, and by updating the expense, you also need to get the ID. So I'm going back to this part here, where we have this part. This icon, let me see the icon here. So we have the icon down here. So for the far edit here, we have this handle, the show edit. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going also to make sure that I get the ID, and I'm going to show you why. So this we have now, we can get the item dot underscore ID, like that. And then now we can use this ID first of all. So let's come up here in the show, for showing the ID. So handle show here. So let me scroll up here into, let me see that function, this one. And then here we need to accept the ID. And then here I want to set, and then I want to set the update ID. So you can see this set updated ID. So this is where we are going to store our ID now, like that. And now we need now to create another function for updating, that when we click this part, when we add the expense name, the date, and also the amount, when we click this update expense, it should run that function. So now we can do that. So actually I can build that function down here, and this will be very simple also. So let's do that. So here I'm going to have update expense function, and like that. And this one here is just a function. So this is an arrow function, and this one also, it is asynchronous. So I'm going to add async. So inside here, I can be able, first of all, to check if I have updated ID. So if I have updated ID here, like that, then I can proceed with updating that expense, because that means we know which ID to that or which expense to be updated. So here inside now, this is where I can do try catch, So try catch like that. We can be able to make sure that here I do await public request here, and then this one is a put function. So for updating, so here also I can have expense. You can use backtick here. So this one is expenses, and then this one is ID, or I can use updated ID. So this one here, and then here I need to also send the data that I want to update. So first of all, I can have the value. So the value here, and also here I can send the updated amount. So updated amount, also I can send now the label, which is our expense name, and this one is updated expense, updated, let me see, date expense or updated expense. I cannot be able, oh, this one, updated label. And then here I can have now the date, of which now the date will be updated date. So here we have updated date like that. So you can see how simple it will be. And also here I can reload also the page again if I am successfully I have successfully updated that. So this one is window.location dot reload like that, and this one is reload. I think reload should be typed like that, yes. So this one here, and then like that, and then also I can console log the error here, console log, and then this is error like that. So you can see how simple it is. So I'm going to use that function, this function that we called update expense. So this one here, update expense, or even I can call it handle update expense, updated expense, or update expense. So I'm going to copy this, and here I'm going to format my code like that. So I'm going to scroll down here until where we have now this button for updating expense. So this one is here on click function, and in here I can be able to paste now this function here like that. So you can see how simple it will be. And then now I can format this. So I'm going to format that, and then let me try and update this snacks to be the internet. So I'm going to clear here to be internet. Here the date may be something like date 23, and then here is $50. So if I click here and need to reload here, you can see this one has been updated now. So now the functionality that have been left is to search here, and I want to use ChatGPT to do that for me. So let me first of all also make sure that I format this like that. So I want to show you how you can now be able to use ChatGPT to make sure that it has helped you to make sure that also you code other places. So I want to use ChatGPT to have this search functionality working. So I'm going to come here, and first thing I'm going also to copy the whole data here, or this code, this page here, and I'm going to go to ChatGPT. So this here, I have a ChatGPT. So I'm going to reload it, and then I can come here down, and I will be telling it what I want. So for example, here I'm going to tell ChatGPT. So let me tell ChatGPT here. I have this React page for an expense for an expense app, expense tracker app, and I want to implement such functionality. So I have an input I have an input for search. So I can tell ChatGPT, can you make functionality to search like that. So I'm going to make sure that I add the data now and rewrite the code for me, so like that. So I'm going to give it like this code, the whole code. So let me give it like that, and then let's see if it will create the searching functionality. So it is rewriting the code right here. You can be able to see it is writing the code for me. Also, it needs to add the functionality for searching through our expense, and we'll be able to see. And here already you can see it is, I think it is doing that. So it is doing the same. And here I want to see it working. So let's see, it's working. And let's see, let us pause until it finishes. So right here you can be able to see in this updated code added a search term. So it has added the search term, added a filtered expenses. You can be able to see that, and updated the handle search functionality to filter expenses based on the search term, updated the rendering of expenses to display filtered expenses instead of expenses, added the total expenses amount to the report section. You can actually see it has added the total expenses amount to the report section here. So that is very, very good for the ChatGPT to do. So I'm going to copy this here, the code, and then inside this part here, I can be able to just Control A to select everything, and then place it with the updated code now. So if I save this, and then let's come back to my application here, and then I'm going to reload it. You can be able to see nothing breaks, but when I try and search here, you can be able to see I'm getting now using the functionality here. I can, the functionality from my ChatGPT, I can be able to get the to search, that is for subscription. You can be able to see here. So how easy it is that. And also for the report here, you can be able to see actually ChatGPT is giving us like the total expense here, because we had never, or we had not implemented the seeing the total expense here. So the other thing that I want to do is when I click here and add something, like let me try and add another expense here. For example, like the one that we had for gasoline. So for the gasoline here, I want to add that expense 22 here. I can add this amount. So it is reloading, and when it reloads and you look for the report here, you can see the report is updated, and also the total expense is updated. So you can see how easy it is, or how great it is. And then if I want to search for gasoline, you can be able to see it here. And also it is case insensitive. So like that, I think that's a very, very good functionality. So now we have finished our application, the things that I wanted to show you in this functionality. But we have the only one thing that is left, and that is our background services, how our background services is working. So let's come here and see if our background services is still working. So I'm going to open this terminal here. So open the terminal, and then right here I'm going to see if that is still working. So we have the background services here, and background services is still running, and it is running after every second. But now if we just make sure, it is checking if our expenses are above $10,000, and if they are above $10,000, then it means that it will send email to us. But then again, because right now we have not, for our total expenses is not more than $10,000, we have like $250 here. then we cannot receive that email. It is checking, and then it is not sending the email because we have not exceeded $10,000. So I'm going to open an email that I received that warning email from my background services, and it is this email here. So I want to see if I add an expense that will surpass $10,000, if it will send the email. So let me come here, and the other thing is, let me add an expense here, and this expense I'll just say a car, and this one I want to give it an expense here to be date 20, but this time this one will be $10,000 here. So when I click this, and then now you can be able to see my report here is above $10,000. I need to receive an email here. So let's see if we are getting an email. So you can see the warning email here. So let me just stop these background services because it will keep sending that email. So you can see I have received this warning email here. So please review your expenses. Your total expenses is $10,250. So you need to review your expenses. So you can see how easy it is. And then the last thing that I want to do is to make sure that now I push my code to my GitHub. So let me come here, and right now we are in the integration, so I can do git add and then this part, and then commit the changes, and here I can say and finished my project finished. Let me finish or completed the project like that, and then I can push now git push origin, and then this time is this branch that we are calling integration because that's where we are working on. So this is integration. Let's see. So let's push this. So let me enter my passphrase like that, and then let me push now my code. So I have pushed my code. So let's come back to my GitHub here, and in my GitHub I need to also go to this repo that is called, so let me go into my repo, and I want to select this repo here that is called YouTube expense tracker app, and this is where we are pushing our code to. So compare and pull request again, and then here I need to merge the pull request like that. And then the last thing that I want to do here is I want to merge the pull request and then confirm merge like that. You can see how simple it will be. And also if I come here to the insight and then here to the network, and here you can be able to see my network here and how I have created this project. So that is it. I wanted to show you all about creating this expense tracker app. I hope that you have learned a lot from this, and from now you can be able to create a full stack application even if they are simple, but now you have understood the whole ecosystem. So now the other thing that I want to show you is not for you not to forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also like this video so that also I can be able to continue creating this beautiful project and also these beautiful applications for you. So that is it. If you need any help with your project, also you can contact me using this email here. You can see we have this email back here, this email. You can be able to contact me using this email, and also this is the email for this YouTube channel, so you can use this, and you can reach me if it is a project for the school or the project that need to go to production for your customers. Please reach out to me through this email. So that is it. See you in the next project. Have a great